held by a man who replaced the congressman who went to jail for tax fraud. Congressman Dan Donovan, he's seeking to retain the seat he occupied after Michael Grimm resigned and went to federal prison for 7 months. He's now seeking a third term in Congress. Grimm, who was on this program just last week, he's struggling for a comeback, asking voters to give him another chance. Welcome this week to Congressman Dan Donovan.
Good to be with you again, Marvin.
It's been quite a contentious campaign.
Yes.
He's been throwing barbs at you, as he did on the program and he is on the campaign trail. He's saying you're not as aligned to President Trump as he is in a county which had the highest vote for President Trump. How do you respond to that?
Well, very conveniently, my opponent decides that he wants to align himself with the president. He didn't vote for the president in 2016 because he had lost his right to vote because he had been in federal prison after pleading guilty to a federal tax offense. But he didn't lose, Marvin, was his right to his First Amendment, his free speech right. He didn't say a word about the president during the primaries. He didn't come to the president's aid when the president was in the battle for his life against Hillary Clinton in the general election. But now when it serves my opponent, like it did when he embraced Steve Bannon, but then abandoned Steve Bannon. He embraces people when it's convenient for him, and now he's trying to align himself with the president when he did nothing for the president during the campaign and had no use for the president when the president needed his help.
He contends that you're simply not conservative enough in a base that is very conservative, and that you haven't passed any substantive legislation.
Well, that's just not true, but my opponent is a confessed liar. He lied to the public in Staten Island and South Brooklyn when he was running for re-election in 2014. He told them that, and told all of us, he was innocent, that he'd be exonerated, that he'd fight to the end. We believed him. The community believed him. But he betrayed that trust. Right after he was re-elected, weeks afterwards, he used that election to cut a deal with the Justice Department and pled guilty to those offenses that he knew he was guilty of during the election. He lied, he betrayed their trust, and he doesn't deserve to
He claims that was all politically motivated and helped to get the Attorney General into the position.
Well, in his mind, he's that important. I don't think that the United States President appointed an Attorney General because they convicted Mike Grimm of tax fraud.
All right, well, let's go on. Let's go beyond that. He said that was the past, and he has apologized for it. He served his time, and he has every right to run for public office again. But how do you respond to the fact he says that you have not passed, you have not had a very substantive record in Congress?
Well, that's just not true, Marvin. You know, I am not only on the Homeland Security Committee, but I'm a chairman of a committee that has responsibilities and jurisdiction over natural disasters and terrorism. We passed the Securing the Cities Act, which was my bill. We passed the Transit Security Act, which was my bill. We passed the Cyber Preparedness Act, which is my bill. We just recently passed a bill that will allow student veterans to have more income for their housing, better income allowances for their housing. So we passed a lot of things. This, again, is just rhetoric of my opponent saying things because the truth just doesn't matter to him.
What about support? Did you support the sanctuary cities legislation?
I do not support sanctuary cities. But there was a bill that we voted on that I voted no because of the penalty for a city like New York for being a sanctuary city would to be remove Homeland Security money from our police department and our first responders. Sanctuary city violators are wrong, but that penalty was wrong. My position was upheld. 2 federal courts, one in Los Angeles, one in Chicago, found that the penalty wasn't proper for sanctuary cities. And a week after they found that in courts, a week after that, Marvin, I dropped my own sanctuary cities bill. It says no enforcement, no grants for sanctuary cities, which will have the proper penalty for cities like New York.
But also, Mr. Donovan says that Mr. Grimm says you do not support the Trump tax plan.
Well, the tax plan is harmful to New York, and the president recognizes that. New Yorkers have lost their #1 deduction, the deduction of their state and local taxes and their property taxes and their personal exemptions. 4 states, every economist has said 4 states are going to pay for this tax bill. It's going to be New York, New Jersey, California, and Connecticut. Next year, the results of the individual portion of the tax bill is going to be harmful to my residents.
Now, some people would say it's a badge of honor if you're not in the favor of the NRA, but you have a very low rating in the NRA because you've stood up to them. How do you think that's going to impact voters?
I'm not sure. I think the voters are very smart, Marvin. I served the community of Staten Island and for the last 3 years, including South Brooklyn. I was the the chief of staff at Borough Hall when we closed the garbage dump. I was deputy borough president after the tragedy in Lower Manhattan, September 11th of 2001. Helped over 400 families get through that. I was the DA for 12 years, and I helped make Staten Island the safest community, the safest big city, and I represented them very well in Congress for the last 3 years. My opponent all of a sudden now is pro-immigration, but yet he voted for Barack Obama's amnesty program, to fund that amnesty program.
I think this one you're talking about is the Homeland Security bill.
Well, he also voted against funding border security on an amendment to the Homeland Security bill in 2012. You're absolutely right.
I asked him about that. He said, well, he now has a strong stance for stronger security of the borders. And I asked him last week how he had voted about it, and he denied that he voted differently. Here's what his response was.
To say I took a hard line against border security is absolutely not true. That I took a hard line. I have never, ever flipped on my position.
Never changed the position. And here is the, I think we have the vote, the roll call vote from H.R. 217, Poe of Texas Amendment number 8, which shows that the ayes and the noes, and there is Grimm's name on that one. But the other one you were talking about, I think, was the amnesty. What was that?
Those two clips, he lied about both of them. As you just pointed out, that border security bill that he voted against, that amendment would have amounted in millions of dollars more in border security. He voted no against it. Now he's for border security. Now he's tough on yes, the amnesty bill. He voted for Barack Obama's to fund Barack Obama's amnesty.
He denied that also.
Sure he did.
Here's the response.
It's absolutely absurd.
So you deny that you voted in favor of Obama's amnesty executive order?
I can absolutely tell you 100%. Let me look at the camera.
Okay.
I never voted for President Obama's amnesty order. That is a complete lie. If anyone says that I voted, please pull that up.
Okay, I guess this is something to pull up. This was the final vote, H.R. 83, yay and nay, 11 December 2014. The yays, and there is Michael Grimm's yay. Okay, so going on.
And again, well, now all of a sudden he's for border security, he's against amnesty, he's for tough immigration regulations. This man hired illegal aliens to work in his restaurant. By the way, he started that restaurant after he left the FBI after 11 years.
All right, you're going back to those criminal charges. Let's try and get above that.
No, but what it is not the criminal charges. He's for amnesty now. He paid those people under wages, under the minimum wage, and yet hit $1 million worth of income on their work. I don't know how much he was paying them.
Yeah. But that's behind him. He served his time. Let's go forward. I'm going to take a break right now. Come back. I want to find out what you see as the predominant issues in this campaign.